Excellent. How you doing, guys? We okay? It's early and late for you guys, yeah?
We're all across the globe right now. It's morning for me. I'm not sure where it is, what time where Soken time is.
In Japan, it's about 2:45 in the morning.
Yeah.
Oh my wow.
It's nice to meet you as well, Koji, as well as Tom, obviously. Yeah. But we've been in the same room many times and never had a chance to meet. I've got to give credit here to Soken. I was sat with him not 3 months ago, and he never mentioned anything about this. He kept it completely secret.
ソケンさん、3ヶ月前に会ったのに、この話一切してなかったのはソケンすげえなっていう。
いやもうマジでさ、俺これ1年間寝かしてたの。もうほんとさ、もう目玉が目玉から出そうだったよ、この1年間俺は。
Yeah, this has been the hardest year of my life because we've had this, for about a year now, and not being able to tell it to anyone has been the hardest experience of my life. It's like it was coming out my eyes. I wanted to let everyone know that this was doing, and not being able to say it has been difficult.
No, I imagine so. All right, let's get into it then, guys. So the big one, obviously, there's rumors now, since this was announced at the live letter, that this came about. Obviously, we know Jason was involved, but because Tom and Jason were at a D&D game, and this is how this started, can we get the history here that this actually happened?
Sure. Well, we are fellow Dungeons and Dragons players. That much I can confirm. And then the side of the story, I'll let Soken-san tell you how it became known to him that there was the possible bridge between our two worlds.
ソケンさんにこのようなこのコラボはどのように実現できたのか、まあそのトムさんとジェイソンさんは D&D 仲間だっていう話はしてるんですけど、じゃあそこからどうやってここまで発展したのか。
まあ僕はご多分に漏れず、いつもこうやってレイジー・アゲンスト・ザ・マシーンのシャツを着て、全世界を回ってて、でそんな中でジェイソンと一緒にコンサートをした時もこの T シャツを着てた時があってですね。でジェイソンは僕にレイジー・アゲンスト・ザ・マシーン大好きなんだっていう風に聞いてきたことがあります。
So, as you know, I'm, no matter where I go around the world, doing stuff with Final Fantasy XIV, playing with the Primals, I'm always wearing Rage Against the Machine t-shirts. And so it just happened to be that after one of the concerts, I was with Jason Charles Miller, and he was performing with us, and I was wearing one of those shirts, and so Jason's like, "Oh, you're always wearing Rage Against the Machine t-shirts. You like them or something?"
で好きに決まってんじゃんって言ったら、ジェイソンはじゃあ今度トムに君がその大ファンだっていうことを伝えとくよって急に言い始めて、みたいな、トムとって今言った、知り合いなのマジでみたいな、そうだよ友達だから今度じゃあ言っとくよみたいなことを言われて、僕は半分嘘だろうと思ってたんだけど、嘘じゃなかったみたいだね。こうなったから今。
Okay. And so again, he's like, yeah, so, do you have, and I was like, yeah, of course I love them. They're my heroes. And then Jason was like, oh yeah, okay. Well then the next time I see Tom, I'll just let him know that, that you love, Rage Against the Machine. He's like, you know Tom Morello? I'm like, oh yeah. And of course the whole time I'm thinking, okay, this is just lip service. This is just Jason trying to sound cool. Oh, I know Tom Morello. I didn't expect anything to happen. And then all of a sudden, you get this call.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. And not to embarrass Soken here, but I don't know if Tom knows this, because we did a little bit of homework on this. In 2013, Soken did an interview, a long time ago. Who is the band you would most like to work with on a song? And his response: when asked what my favorite is, I immediately answer Rage Against the Machine. They're so awesome, as if my body and my brain melt when I listen to them. Isn't that cute?
Of course.
I knew he'd understand that one. I've seen you as well. Coming to Tom, I've seen you several times whenever you've managed to travel to the UK. I used to manage a heavy metal nightclub before doing this. So it's great to talk to you and to ask you some questions here, but I'm obviously looking at it from the video game perspective. So my question to you, Tom, is why now? Because everything I know of you in video games is you've licensed music to video games many times, and you appeared as a boss in Rock Band at one point. But other than that, you've never done anything that's specifically for a video game.
Yeah. I'm not much of a gamer, but I do recognize the power and the potency of Final Fantasy XIV in particular, and the bridge that video games can build between, an artist's music and a new audience. As I learned very much from, Rage Against the Machine being in Tony Hawk and, or Audio Slave being in Grand Theft Auto, et cetera, et cetera. But with this, when this came up, some friends of mine play Final Fantasy XIV, so I'm aware of what it means, even though I'm not much of a player. But so this was almost a year ago when the connection was made, and at the time there was it was a high pressure situation. Someone was like, "We need to hear music within the next 48 hours." At the time, I was working with producer Tyler Smith. I'm working on a solo rock album, and we had been working together and throwing ideas back and forth. And so I called him up and I said, "Hey, there's an opportunity. We've got we're working on some stuff anyway. Let's kind of buckle down and see what we can come up with." So I had some riffs, he had some production ideas. He's childhood friends with Caleb from Beartooth. So, and I'm a fan of. He proposed that to me. He said, "What did you think about Beartooth?" I love that guy. Let's see what he's doing. So he called him up that morning at 9 a.m. Fortunately, Caleb was home and had the day off, and he basically said to him, "Hey, Tom Morello and I are working on a song. Can you drop everything and work on it right now?" And Caleb, to his credit, rose to the occasion, and I got a vocal track back in a few hours of a first pass of sort of melody and ideas, and was very, very impressed with it. Not just impressed with the fact that he could launch into this track immediately after taking out the trash or whatever, but also that he was able to channel an energy that I felt was synchronous with some of the more powerful songs in my career. Caleb is a big Rage Against the Machine fan and a big Audio Slave fan, and he was able to, while Beartooth's lyrics tend to be more introspective, he wrote a song that is Everything Burns, that is a reflection of our times and a warning to those in power, as well as something that then we were like, okay, we got this jam, we really were feeling it, we sent it over, they said that they loved it, and now here we are almost a year later, and Soken-san can pick up the thread here, why did it take so long for it to finally appear in Final Fantasy XIV is a question better for him.
ソケンさん、1年前にこの話上がってきたんだけど、なんで1年間かかってやっと曲が今のタイミングで出せたのかっていうのは、ソケンさんにちょっと聞いてもらいたい。
僕の、ファイナルファンタジー14の、サウンドディレクターとしての心情としては、やっぱり、こんな素晴らしい曲をいただいて、その辺、曲をいただいたから、じゃあすぐに出そうっていうことではなくて、やっぱ、この曲をみんながどういう感情で、どういうゲームエクスペリエンスで、この曲を聴けば、この曲が最高のものになるか。ゲーム体験も最高のものになるか。要は、お互い最高のものになるっていうタイミングまで、タイミングが現れるコンテンツが仕上がるまで、我慢してました。で、今回、1年経ってようやっとこの曲が最高潮に輝くコンテンツが仕上がったので、このタイミングでこのエブリシングバーンをドロップしました。ゲームの中に入れました。
So, as sound director on Final Fantasy XIV, what I didn't want to do was, we received such a great song. I didn't want to just throw it in the game, and say, okay, I have a song, let's just put it in the game as soon as possible. Because it wasn't about that. It was about, finding the perfect place for the song where it would fit seamlessly with the content and it would feel like it was created for that content, while also not, disservicing the song itself. You have a great song, you want to put it in a great place in the game. And at the time we'd received it, we didn't have that yet. There wasn't something that was perfect for the song. And so it was a process of waiting and seeing what content was coming out, because we're always doing our updates. And finally we get to this patch, and there was a place that it seemed absolutely perfect for it. It felt like the song was made for the content that we were creating, and we knew then that this is where we're going to put it. This is the coolest place in the game because we have the coolest song, and that's where we are.
Okay, so I have to ask the question then, because in terms of direction, and I don't know if Tom knows this, obviously Final Fantasy XIV deals with some extremely heavy themes, and Arcadia, where the song is featured, is one of them, with a lot of oppression and people, you know, being used in some ways and all that back and forth. Was any of that guidance given to you, Tom, in terms of just broad context of where this was going to appear?
No, because I mean, as he just described, that they, you know, once they got the song and felt the sort of the energy and the lyrical thrust of the song, then it was, you know, on his, as you know, as the master curator he is, to then find a place where it would manifest best.
Mm-hmm. So then to Soken, then, was it difficult to make it into a more diegetic experience? Because your music is so renowned that, you know, you actually go to the lengths of having to divide your tracks into sections for trailers, you know, spread out over a year because you're going to give so many clues as to what's going on. So how was that process in receiving a song and then turning it into a video game song, which works differently than a normal track?
今回やっぱりそのソケンさんが曲作るときはその作り方がすごい特殊で、例えばその1年をかけて一つの曲を完成させるみたいな感じで、そのトレーラーで部分的に出してやっと1年経ったら曲が完成するみたいな感じでやっていくんですけど、今回はやっぱその完成されたトラックをいただいて、そこをゲームにうまくはめ込むっていうのがどのようなチャレンジがあったのでしょうか。何か今までそのゲーム作りと違うところあったんですか。
そうだね、今までこういうパターンでゲーム音楽をゲームに実装するっていうパターンが今までやったことがなかったから、やっぱりすごい緊張したし、うまくいくか、その可能性で言ったらすごく難しいことだったと思うんだけど、今回は本当に、日本の言葉で言うと、本当針の穴に糸を通すような、これが英語で何て言えばいいのかちょっとわかんないんだけど。
ちゃんと英語あります。
ある。よかった。だから本当、そういうことができて、もう本当スペシャルな体験を、この14のゲームプレイヤーに届けることができて、本当に良かったと思ってます。
So yeah, it's like you mentioned, this is, like I mentioned before, this is the first time that we've ever done anything like this, where we have a completed song and then have to find the perfect place for it in the game. Because again, I'm not creating it for it. Someone has already created this. And so again, we don't want to do a disservice to that. So for me, I was really nervous, about finding the perfect place for it, because again, I didn't want to do the song a disservice. And so again, and then when we finally found the content that we felt it would fit in. Even then, there was that little bit of nervousness, like worried, would this actually work? Would actually, this fit? And I think a good term here is it's like threading the needle. It was like, we're being very careful with this, and we're putting it in the perfect place. And it was a very special experience for me doing this, and I think it will ultimately players will be able to recognize that, because it's going to be a very special experience for the users as well.
Okay. Well, I have to ask the obvious question, which you guys might not be able to answer. Is there two versions? Because there's the version that everybody gets, and then there's usually another version that is locked off for the certain savage amongst us, where something happens, and then another version appears. Is that the case, or are you not letting us know?
じゃあ、ソケさん、レードを出して、大体、他のそのコンテンツがパワーアップする、サベージコンテンツだったりすると、その違うアレンジだって違う曲になったりすることもあるんだけど、今回そういうのは、からくりはあるんでしょうか。言えるのか。
それは、僕の口からは言えないな。
Yeah, you were right. I can't tell you.
Come
I can't tell you at this point.
Okay, so there might be a secret song or version of it that we don't know about.
じゃあ、シークレットバージョンはあるってことかもしれないですね。
いや、まだ 7.4 をプレイしてないじゃないですか、皆さん。だから今この段階で、あれやこれや想像するのを楽しみにしてください。
7.4 isn't even out yet. It's just you have fun speculating, and then when it comes out, then you can go from there.
Well, this is no fun. I haven't even been able to listen to the full song yet. As we're recording this, I'm under NDA, and they're still not letting me listen to it.
でもいつかあれだね、もちろんゲームをプレイみんながしてくれた後、どこかでトムさんと一緒になんか演奏できたりしたら嬉しいね。
Yeah, but for me though, I know I'm excited for everyone to get in the game and hear the song in game. But if, by some miracle in the future, there'd be an opportunity to, maybe play the song together with Tom on stage or something, that would be a dream of mine.
I mean, it's. Oh, sorry, Tom. Go ahead.
I'd love to do that. It's a banger. I'd love to do it with him. And one thing I will say that with Soken-san, we've done a number of interviews now, and while his compositional prowess is impressive, what is more impressive is his collection of Rage Against the Machine T-shirts, because he's got a different one on at every interview.
I was going to wear one today, but I thought it looked sappy, so I thought, it's a video game one. I'll go with a video game T-shirt today, so we're not kissing ass. But it's true. I mean, even Koji is part of the Primals. And, I've seen you play live, Koji and Soken, a couple of times now. And that would be amazing, because you generally do have a lot of guests that come through to... I mean, there are not many video game composers and artists that have their own world tour of music. That's why Final Fantasy XIV's... why we're doing this, right? The music is so special. Which then comes back to you, Tom. I don't know how much you've actually collabed now that this is happening, but given that Soken's nature of creating music is to fit some very heavy themes, and given your history as well, is that something you've been more interested in doing?
Well, I just want to comment on his compositional prowess, because since this collaboration has come about, I've paid close attention to the vast compositional world of Final Fantasy XIV. It's really just and 16, and it's really impressive. And Caleb and I were actually sitting down the other day, kind of going scrolling through different things, and it's the care and the talent that goes into creating the soundscape, the musical soundscape of this game, is the same degree of care and talent that goes into some, an Oscar-nominated film or something. It's really, you can tell the love and the depth of care that goes into it, which is very, very impressive, which makes me even more proud to to have a song that is going to be featured in the game.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, I've told Soken this. I've traveled the world speaking to massive game companies, and all their composers are like, one day I want to work with Soken. I hear that message all the time. But coming back to it, then. What's that?
Honored, eh?
Yeah, it's very odd to someone goes you spoke to Soken, right? Tell him about me. And okay, we're not friends, so I'm not calling him. But yeah, Tom, in terms of actually. Maybe looking at the genre, because of course video game music has blown up, especially in the last 12 months with Clair Obscur, and not only Soken's music. Is that something that maybe interests you in the future, given the themes and style, the rock style that goes with it?
Whenever I've always looked for outlets for my music that are sort of politically simpatico, whether it's film, whether it's TV, whether it's collaborating with other musicians. One of the things that is less appealing to me is writing a song for a video game. You know what I mean? I think that once you start tailoring to that, my artistry doesn't come from that sort of particular craftsmanship. You know what I mean? I have to write songs that are very authentic to me, songs that have sort of a meaning that I'm happy. I'm so psyched. I'm headed to India in a few days, and we're going to perform this song for the first time. With my band. That's sort of the bar for me, is I want to write songs that I love, songs that are moving and rocking for me, and then let them kind of fall where they may. And that's the reason why, Soken-san's wearing the T-shirts. That's the reason why, he was excited about this collaboration, is because I suspect, in a way, it's because that North Star has always been to create music to please myself or my, and my bandmates. And that's why I think you're able to make that kind of connection.
Oh, 100%. I'll come back to Soken then. Is this something you'd be more interested in doing in the future, of having other artists come in and actually make some things for Final Fantasy, which has been your baby for a very long time now?
今回は、このようなコラボが、初めて、誰か、他の人が曲を作って、それをいい場所を14で見つけるっていうのは、今回もその初めての体験なんですけど、これを機に、これがうまくいけば、じゃあこれを機に、他のアーティストとこの同じような感じで、曲を提供してもらって、それをうまい感じ、ゲームにはめ込むっていう、ことをまた挑戦はしたいのでしょうか？
いやー、これ1年間かかったからね。俺これ、しかもさ、これ誰にも言えないんだよ、これ。大好きなさ、自分がレジェンドと崇めてる人からさ、いただいた曲を1年間ドロップできずにそわそわしてるのはもうコリゴリだよ。
Yeah. So, this whole process, like I said, it took a year to find the perfect place for it. I don't know if I can do that again, because it's been the hardest year of my life, not being able to tell anyone that I got to work with this legend, this person that I worship and adore, and having to keep that inside for the past year is the hardest thing in my life. I don't know if I could do that again.
That's fair. So to clear up, because obviously the fans are going to ask, was the boss that it's being used in designed for the song? Or like you said, it just happens to line up? Because we have to assume there's some fire element, everything burns, right? Or was it like, hey, we've got this song, this Arcadia wing isn't coming out till a year now, can we design the boss around the song? Because that's obviously not how Soken usually works.
今回その曲を受けて1年は経つっていうことなので、曲はあったってことなので、今回の、ボスデザインは、この曲を参考に、そのボスデザインはちょっと変わったのでしょうか？影響を与えたのでしょうか？
多少なりとも、影響がありました。でもそれはプレイしてからのお楽しみです。
So, yes, actually the song did end up once we knew that like this was a good place to use this, the song did end up affecting that boss design and the battle design. Again, can't go into it, but you will recognize immediately how they kind of fit together when you play the raid.
あともう一つ面白い現象があって、今回開発、7.4 の、このアルカディアの最終形態、いいところでこの曲が鳴るわけですけど、この曲が鳴ってるところを担当してる、デベロップメントチームの開発員たちは、みんなムチ打ちになってます。なぜかというと、音楽を聴いて首を振って仕事をしてたから、みんな漏れなくムチ打ちになりました。
Okay. So yeah, again, this song, it comes pretty much at the climax of the whole Arcadian series here. And, when, again, the people that were in charge of this battle, we gave them the song, and pretty much for the whole duration of their development, they were headbanging so much to it that they all got whiplash.
And at which
True
point...
story.
At which point does Yoshida do the backing vocals? Is that featured in this one?
今回吉田さんがボーカルトラックにもそのバックボーカルで入ってるのでしょうか？
ダメだよ。そんなん絶対入れないよ。
No, there's no way we're going to put him in this song. Absolutely not.
Okay. He's only allowed in Brute Bomber. I understand. That's the way it goes. In terms of the collab over time then, over this 12 months, was there any back and forth between you guys? Or Tom, were you kind of just done? Or was Caleb involved in some way? Because obviously Caleb's not here, so I'd love to know how his involvement, how it evolved. Like, okay, this is really good, but we kind of want this for the more video game angle.
Yeah. I mean, there was the original song that sort of to hit the deadline that we were all very, very proud of, and then we heard that there was like positive feedback about it, and then months went by. Everyone's busy with their lives. I'm on tour. I'm sure Soken-san is busy doing whatever he's doing. During that time, there was actually one period where Tyler Smith and I went back in the studio with Tyler because, having listened to the song, which we did in a day 36 hours, I wanted the guitars to really I thought that I could make the guitars feel more aggressively Tom Morello than they did on the original demo version. So just spent one day and went back, just kind of buffed up the guitar parts. We tweaked the arrangement just a little bit to make it to make it more, the tension a little bit more dramatic for the drops of the huge riffs, etc. And then so there was a little, it wasn't like with the video game in mind so much, it was just like having sat with it for a moment, we're very, very pleased with the song, but can we get 10% more out of it? And we did.
Okay, so that wasn't with feedback from Soken, it was your desire to improve the song.
That's right. Given the fact that it felt like, okay, it's not coming out next Friday, so we've got a minute to to take some time.
Why did we have that sense of urgency in the beginning? I don't think we clarified that.
I'm not entirely sure. I know. I mean, it was very, very clear. Like, we need to hear this now. Perhaps Soken-san can speak to that.
ソケンさん、わかります。だから要するにこの曲はこの話上がってきたときに。もうすぐにサンプルがないとファイナルファンタジー14としてはもう決められないので早くやってくださいって来たので結局48時間で曲を仕上げたっていうのはあるんだけど、なんで48時間であんだけ早くやらなきゃなんなかったのかってソケンさんってわかります？トムさんはわからないらしいんです。
俺も全然わからない。
Yeah, Soken, he doesn't know either.
Yeah.
No one knows.
It seemed like a big deal at the time. Let me just tell you that. But there was a great benefit to that, in that sometimes artists can talk themselves out of a great idea, and we were kind of feet to the fire. Like, we're gonna finish this within 48 hours. And I think that, if I've heard Caleb say this, over the course of the last few days, a number of times, was that he didn't have any time to overthink it. He was like, here's this track which he was feeling, and then like just using kind of putting up his radar of the things that he has enjoyed about my catalog in the past. He had played some Final Fantasy, years ago, and so he was sort of channeling the first impulses, the first instincts that came to him, in writing the lyric and melody for Everything Burns. And for me, it was the same too. It's like, sometimes it's best to kind of go like, here's a hot, like, this is the riff that is the lowest hanging fruit that I feel like it's today's riff. I've done that throughout my career where, like, let's not overthink it. Like, this is the riff today. Let's go with that one right now and follow our first instincts, and those instincts proved to be correct.
So you'd say you thrived in the chaos of creating it, essentially.
Absolutely. And then it was a year later when it comes out. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. But yeah, I think that this song was forged out of that sort of chaotic moment of, we have to do it now. I remember sitting by my phone going, like, really, it was like kind of like watching a timer. Like, I'm like, uh-oh, have we missed?
But nobody knows how that started.
I don't know.
It's a great mystery as to why anybody felt that way.
I know it's real because producer Tyler and I were on the phone. I was like texting him like, so is Caleb? Where is he in the process right now?
Yeah, I feel like Jason's behind it. I feel like he was like, no, you have to do it now. It's coming out tomorrow. Yeah, you've got to do it. And no one said that. I don't know if you guys could talk on behalf of Caleb, though, in terms of his excitement and involvement and cooperation between you, Tom, as to like, hey, because it sounds to me, you grab the phone and you go, hey, we need some lyrics for this song, and we've got 2 days to do it. Can you do that? Yeah. Is that the way? Just the way it went down?
So Caleb, I mean, I've gotten to know him over the course of the course of this. He's just a lovely dude, and while I'm a fan of Beartooth, I've really become a big fan of him. He's a great dude. But so how the moment actually happened was, he and Tyler grew up together. So fortunately, he had the day off. Like, if he had been on tour, or if he had been, busy with something else, this song would not have manifested in the way they did. And then the one thing I didn't know, while I'm a fan of Beartooth, I did not know the degree to which Caleb is a fan of, of Rage and Audio Slave, and my guitar playing, which I then found out, and and he just dropped everything, and he wanted to really kind of deliver, both for Final Fantasy XIV and with the opportunity to have this collaboration over the course of the last I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years, I've been doing a lot of collaborations with my Atlas Underground albums, and sort of, and you know, in my own world and like with my bands and with my solo stuff, I'm very type A and very extremely opinionated about how things need to go. What I've found over the course of the last few years is being open, like really kind of opening it up to where can someone else's creativity take my riffs? Where can someone else's creativity take my political point of view? And I think Caleb was 10 out of 10 on both fronts with regards to Everything Burns.
Well, I assume you've got that process nailed down, right? Because is it the Atlas Underground Flood? You worked remotely with nearly everybody involved on that album.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, two of those records were made entirely during the pandemic. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's fantastic. Well, that kind of comes to mind of relevant questions for you guys, and I don't want to waste up your time. But what I want to ask is, for sure, if you do have the Primals and Tom Morello on stage, it would be at the European Fan Fest. That's the only thing I'm double checking before we go. Don't reserve it for Tokyo, is all I want to know.
I was going to say, someone write that down.
Yeah.
プライマルズとトムとの共演をやるんだったらもちろんヨーロッパのファンフェスでやるんだよね。東京ファンフェスじゃなくてヨーロッパでやるんだよね。
どうだろうな。あれだよね。フィンズベリーパークみたいなことを想像してんのかな。
So what you're imagining something like a Finsbury Park type of situation?
I'm just imagining the same thing you delivered in London last year or 2 years ago, which went very well. With all the guests there, and Tom could just slide in for a song or two, you know.
Now you're a concert promoter. I see.
I'm doing my best. You got to learn something out here, right? You got to learn something
with no selfish reasons attached to it whatsoever.
No, it's for the people. We're entertainers. That's what we do, right? That's exactly what it is. But thank you very much for your time, guys.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
I can't wait to actually hear the song properly.
Yeah. Well, we're days away. So
we are days away. Yeah. So thank you, and I'll leave you guys to it.
Okay. Happy holidays. Thanks, man. Peace.
Bye.
Take care.